Hello, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and as you can tell from the title, this video is a review. Now, I saw a video earlier on and another YouTuber was saying that people that do reviews are just filling time and just getting hits. I absolutely, totally disagree. Personally, I think reviews are a wonderful thing. I think they help the modeler see what's in the box. Especially with people like Revell that will re-release very old kits, and you may see something that's come out and it's got new tooling all over the box and it's actually not. You may see a kit and think, wow, that's really amazing, I really want it, and then when you actually see the inbox review, you see that it's actually way too complex and way above your skill level, so you can walk away, perhaps get the simpler version, or just get one and leave it in the stash for a while until you've got a few kits under your belt. But personally, I think reviews are very useful, and certainly when it comes to stuff like this, where you're spending over £100 on something, you really want to be able to see what it is you're spending your money on, rather than just some CAD images on a website somewhere. So this is all about an aftermarket product made by a company called Fischkopp in Germany, and it's actually a Dambuster kit. So you can actually, if you've got one of these border model Avro Lancaster B Mark 1.3, you can actually turn this into a Dambuster, and it's everything you need, and it all looks to be very nice indeed. If on the other hand you've saved some time, waited a while and bought one of these, you'll know that this kit is actually the Dambuster version, and it comes with a sprue of Dambuster parts and also some additional new clear parts. But there are issues with this, as I've described in my review. If you haven't seen it, go back and have a look. You all know what I think of these border model instructions. These are dire. I've got the decals in there only to get me to the right page. You can see in here they're actually telling you to fit the calipers and everything, but they're telling you to measure back and put a hole in everything. On the actual fuselage itself, this is the border model fuselage. Sorry, I've left that bit of tape on there. You can see there is a hole there marked with a D, and that is what they're saying. That's where the front of the caliper should go. Well, if you turn that around, and also you can see on here that in the drawing there is a moulded on pin, and then there's a smaller pin here on the back. So front has a large pin, back has a small pin. When we actually look at the parts themselves, the back has a small pin with an ejector pin next to it, and the front has nothing. So border model have completely missed the fact that that hole is there, which is giving you the position. However, saying that, the position is incorrect. If you I'm not going to draw through it because I don't want the hole there, but if you take a pencil and go around to the other side, and then you do it on the length as well, your center of your pin comes about there. It should be up here somewhere. The actual caliper should be higher up into this stiffening panel, and it's the same on the back. They're telling you to put it there. It should actually be up in here. There was a cutout in the wing that the caliper goes up into. More of that in a minute. But they're actually telling you in the instructions to do it that way around, and it's not good. If you're using the kit parts, I would suggest shifting it all up a bit. And while we're on the subject of border model, I'm just going to cover, in case you haven't seen my reviews and stuff, they do talk about the Dambuster and the way to go about it and everything. But then you'll see they come along here and they tell you to, and we've already done it, they tell you to put that part in there, and they tell you to fit this part in here. That is all incorrect. You shouldn't be using that part. You should use the clear part that's on the clear sprue, and there's also all bits and pieces that you need to do your research and check out. Go back and look at my review video and you will see in there. What they don't tell you in the kit instructions or anywhere in the kit is that you actually have parts in the kit. So this part here, this is the clear part that goes underneath, and this is where the machine gun is mounted, and the machine gun is actually where is it? I did have it here. Where's it gone? There it is. The machine gun is actually there, and that will actually fit into there, and that will stick out the bottom of the aircraft. So if you're doing AJT as a Dambuster before it actually went out on the mission, she actually had that gun fitted. When she arrived at Scampton, she had this gun fitted. And this panel here is made in clear plastic because the rear half of it is clear, so the gunner could see what he was shooting at. But they actually ended up removing that gun because it was no good for the low-level mission they were on. But yeah, you get in the kit, in the border model kit, you get that machine gun, even though it's not called up anywhere. You also get the emergency bomb release here and the additional altimeter to go on the instrument panel, which again is not called up. They are parts A82 and A83, and you get those in the nose art kit as well, so they're not called up. You also get the light fairings, okay, so the front and the rear light fairings, you get those, and you actually get the lenses on the clear sprue as well. So you've got all those. Again, they're not called up in the instructions, and this is part of an ABS bomb sight, which again is not called up in the instructions. And here we have the, I think this is the emergency firing handle, is it? I'm not sure, but we've got that there anyway. So, and then there's the cap that goes on the top with the correctly shaped panel. What a lot of people do, they actually assume that because the turret's round, that panel's round, but it's not. It's actually circular. It's sort of like a 50p piece. It's circular, but it's got 4 flats on it, or it's almost like 8 flats. You could maybe make it out on there in the shadow to see the shape of that panel. Okay, so that's going to go in the top, and then around here you could get away with just putting some Mr. Surfacer in, and then going over with a piece of decal, or Wingnut Wings would have given you a decal for this. But basically, when they removed the fairing from the top of the aircraft, they were left with a load of holes. So they put doped linen over it and just painted over it with resin, and that would be done as well. And if you look at the books, you'll see it all. You'll see a lot of them are a right mess up in this area, particularly the B1s, the Grand Slams. So there you go. That's the parts that you're getting in the border model kit that aren't called out. That is not what this review is about. This review is about this beautiful Fischkopp set. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly whip through the instructions, and then I'm going to go through the instructions again and show you the relevant parts that they're talking about. Okay, so we'll quickly whip through and then we'll look at the instructions. I'm going to put a link in the description down below this video, and that will take you to the Fischkopp parts page where you can see everything that he makes. And then on the right hand side, on some of the items, you can click where it says parts/instructions, I think it says. Click on there and it will bring you up something you can actually download. You can look at the instructions, but there is print protection on there. You can't print them or anything, so what I've done here is just screenshotted them so that I could print them out. I don't like using computer screens on my videos because it's easier to have the paper here and point and make marks and notes and everything. So that's the way I do it, because I'm old school, because I'm old. Right, so looking at the instructions, first of all, prepare your kit. So talking about removing a block of the floor there and then adding a resin piece in there, and then we're talking about removing a piece in here. This was all my doing, this bit here. That's removing a part in there. That's for the arming handle going into the side. And then here we're going to remove the mounting where the camera goes. Here we're going to remove a little bit and add a piece of resin there, which is the pilot special supply. I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to have to look into that and try and learn some more about it. Here is on the pilot's pedestal. Next, this is where his seat goes here. Those 4 pins, that's where his seat goes. And this is where you install the manual release handle there, which is you've got in the border kit, or you've got in the resin kit as well. And then you've got the new ref counter, which is going to go on the underside of the wireless operator's table. We'll look at a picture of that in a minute. And then coming over the page here, we're going to start on the fairings, and we've got all hinges going in. These fairings are actually workable. You can open and close them, but you have to make sure the pulley's not in place to open them. I'm not sure if that panel would have been separate, but we'll cover more of that in a minute. We're going to build the upkeep, okay, and then we've got the caliper assembly here with the pins going in. Again, these are movable should you want to move them. So very nice indeed. And then going over the page here, we've got the caliper assembly. So here's the notes on how to actually assemble the caliper, and you've got here the drive wheels that are going to drive the bomb. So so that's all nice. So it's actually a mine, isn't it? We call it a bomb. And then coming over here, you've got something that's not included in any of the kits. You've got the actual hydraulic motor. Any of the border model kits, and I'm not sure if the Hong Kong models one includes it, but you've got the actual hydraulic drive motor there, and you've got the speed indicator and everything. So that there, it's got a little pulley on it, and that's going to go up to the unit I can't give you the unit that's going to measure the speed and then convert it into a signal for the wireless operator. So you're going to install the VSG hydraulic motor, and then you're going to use Easy Line and connect the wheel of the speed indicator through the opening in the bracket with the shaft of the hydraulic motor. So that's pretty cool. You've got there you go, you've got a speed indicator there. So you've got that pulley is turning that, and that pulley is turning that pulley. So there you go, very, very nice indeed. And then here we've got the transverse frame. So this is the frame that's going to go across at the main sort of, not the bomb is not going to hang off, but all its release mechanism and everything is going to come off of this frame here. And you can see here where it's mounted in the fuselage. So you've got the actual hydraulic motor here, you've got the transverse frame there, and we've got the rear fairing here, which we're going to look at in a minute. So that's all very nice. And then you've got the hydraulic system here as well, which is included in the kit, in the set. You don't get any of that in the kit at all because the fairing's all closed in. And then we're going to go over the page here. Sorry, I've missed a page here, number 9. And we've got the fairings going in. And then if you want to close the fairings, you've got some bolts to go in there. And the bolts are basically, one is a hexagonal head and the other is like looks like a nut with a stud coming through it. Unfortunately, I can't show you those today because they're missing. I've actually had 2 deliveries from Chris over at Fischkopp. The first one, it looked like they'd used the package to support the van door or something. One end was all sort of ripped and everything, and I think some parts came out. Certainly a couple of parts got damaged, and there were some pins missing, some small pins missing, and there was some damage. So I'm only assuming that the complete fret, because it's not like I've got 1 or 2, I've got any of them. So the complete block with those parts on is missing, so he's going to send me those. I've only just, before I started doing this video, realised that they're actually missing. So just keep everything right here. And then going over the page number 10, this is that transverse frame we looked at just now, and we've got here the bomb release. So you can see here we've got the claws open and closed, and there we've got the Y loop. More about that Y loop in a minute. So we're going to put that in there. If you're going to have it holding the bomb with the calipers together, you're going to have that closed. So you're going to fit that little Y loop in there before you close them up. And then we've got the aft Aldis lamp. Now this is where you get a lot of speculation, argument, whatever, about where the lamp was. Some say it was in the rear fairing just behind the bomb. Some say it was in the actual aperture where the machine gun came out. I have no opinion on it at the moment. I think I have a preferred option, but more of that later. But that's actually going to go into there. So he's supplying you this circular panel, whereas in reality that should be using that clear part that I showed you earlier, okay, because they did retain the clear part and the actual light would have come through the side there where the machine gun was. So that's something to bear in mind, and also really good because you'll be able to look up underneath and see your light inside. And what he's telling you is install the fairing instead of the kit part P26. The kit part P26 is completely wrong for any Dambuster. They never had that blanking panel. They always had this. Okay, so don't use kit part P26. P26 is the flat blanking panel that just sits out the bottom. And then here, going over the page, we've got step 11. We're going to install the drive wheel. So if you've got your covers shut, you're going to put the drive wheel over there. So place the drive wheel on the VSG motor, glue the pinning wheel cap onto the shaft, not the drive wheel. If you do that, you're not going to be able to open your doors. So bear that in mind. As I said, I'm not sure if this panel here, if this part of the panel would have been separate. I'm not sure. So I have no pictures at all of a Dambuster with its doors actually open. So here we've got the big arm spring. I'll show you this in a second in the book so you can explain what this is all about. And then you've got here, we're going to install the tensioners and the cable in there. And then this is showing you here how to mount these onto the fuselage. As you can see, we've got these great big hinges. They're big, strong panels. They carried a lot of weight. And as you can see here, they've got this sort of glued on to the upper edge. You've got this stiffening panel here going along. I'll just put a pencil line so you can see where it is. The edge of that tape is forming the top, and you've got one there, okay, and that's that stiffening panel there in the middle, which is here. You can see that here, okay, just go down the sides there, and that actual hinge there should come up to the middle there, okay, or maybe just slightly below center, but it shouldn't be as low down as they would have you put it. Now, I personally believe, I could be wrong here, but I'm looking at this sprue, and this is the border model sprue you get with the kit, and I'm wondering if this is anything to do with Wingnut Wings at all, because I mean, it looks like a Wingnut Wings sprue because we've got these panels here, and it looks very much Wingnut Wings-ish, but maybe this is Wingnut Wings and this isn't, I'm not sure. But these calipers, they just don't look right to me at all. And I'm not sure about this either, but more about that in a minute. So there we go. So there's your calipers going on the side. Right. What I'd like to do is just to clear everybody up when I start talking about this, I want to show you what this mechanism is all about. And in this book here, this is the Wing Leader Publications book, which is now out of print. There is a new one coming because there's a couple of errors in here, and there's a new one coming. But this is basically, as you can see, I've got a paper cover on mine to preserve it. But I have done a review of this book. This is Dambuster Lancaster by Piotr Frokasiewicz and Mark Postlethwaite. It's a fantastic book. It was made in 2018. As I say, currently out of print. They do come up now and again on eBay for about 100 quid or something, but it's a lovely, lovely book. But bear in mind there are some issues. They're minor issues, but there are issues. So you can see in this book here we've got the calipers. Let me turn this light off so you don't get the reflection. You can see in here we've got the calipers. Now I can't see now because I've got the reflection of the light which is up there, so I can't see what I'm looking at. You can see here this area here, they come into these studs with nuts on the end, okay? And what that is, that's the bomb release. So that is this bit here, okay? So you can see the studs coming out. You get those in the resin and everything. You can see the studs coming out and the threaded portion on the end, and there's a cable going into that Y piece there, which is going up. Remember I showed you where it goes into those clips and holds it shut? So that's what that is there. Now, that is your bomb release. And if you're having the bomb in place, and obviously you want the calipers pulled together, so you're going to make the length of this accordingly to suit whatever it is you want to do. Now behind it, you can see here what's called the big arm spring. The big arm spring, okay, and that there is a spring. It's like a shock absorber. You can kind of see it there as well. That there, you can see it here. It's like a shock absorber that sits in behind, and that is this. And what that's doing, you can see that there. Bring it up closer to the camera so you can see it better. You can see there that that is like a shock absorber, and it's going onto the inside of the caliper here, and then it's going through a pin into that frame there, okay? So you'll have to drill your own hole for that pin. The hole's not there, but you've got the pin, you've got the spring, and you've got the outer and everything. You've got all the pins, it's all in there, beautifully detailed and really, really finely made. You have to be very careful with this because it's all going to be fairly fragile when it's built, but it's totally to scale. So you can see here, you're putting that pin, that piece in there, and then you're putting the pin down through. So I just wanted to clear that up. I also wanted to show you that here you have the, this is the, I think this is the rev counter or the pressure switch, or it's the pressure or something. But you can see that there's that. You don't get that in any of the kits. You don't get any of this here on the floor in any of your kits. But in this set, you do get it. You can see there you've got the control panel on the floor. You've got the gauge, and then you've got the pipe going to it. Okay. yeah, I think it was a hydraulic pressure gauge. And you can see here over the page again, we've got the bomb release mechanism here, and then there you can see we've got the actual spring bit at the back, which is mounted to the inside of the caliper. So this is actually pulling the caliper shut, and that will push the caliper apart when this is released. Okay, and we can see here beautifully displayed, that is the everything closed like as in flight, and that is the release here. And then you can see down the side here we've got the cable, and that is for the emergency arming thing, which hopefully I can see in here. There should be a picture of the interior. You can see the lights and everything there. This is the panel that goes behind. You can see we've got the clear panel there. We've got the light coming out of the side, and that's where the machine gun. That's where the machine gun came out, and there's the light coming out of the side. If you believe the light was actually in that rear panel, some believe it was further forward. If I can find the photograph or the drawing, it should be here now inside. It looks like there's the special panel, so I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to read up about that. And here somewhere there will be an image. Okay, so here we can see what it's all about. We've got the arming the self-destruct fuse. So once they got over enemy territory, they would arm the fuse. And there's this handle inside, more about that in a second, this handle inside which ran down a cable down the outside over a pulley. You can see on the real aircraft there's a scratch in the paint, and then that went down the side of the caliper to the relevant hole in the side of the caliper there. Okay, so you've got this tube here which you'll have to scratch mate yourself, and that'll go onto that. So we've got all of that in there. So again, detail that's not in any of the kits. Right, so let's have a look through here, and then when we've looked through here and look at what we've got, I'm going to do an accuracy comparison with some wartime photos and the parts from the Border Models kit, so you can make your own mind up. So they're telling us here we've got the floor, and they're telling us to file this down. So we're going to, it says remove boxes, fill with putty and add rivets if necessary. So you can remove both those boxes. You're going to have a couple of holes there, and then you're going to file down this area here. Okay, that area there is going to be filed down, and then you are going to fit the hydraulic panel, which is here we are, Mr. Well Prepared as usual. Where's it gone? There it is. Was it hiding over there? The hydraulic panel there, you can see now, you'll see lots of little hairs on this, and the reason is Chris, when he sent this to me, packed it all up in cotton wool. So the bits of cotton wool have stuck on, so I'll have to get rid of them somehow. So you can see there we've got this tiny little thin panel, and we can see how lovely it is. And we've got the little cock there, we've got the three knobs in the middle, and the hydraulic opening valve there. So all very, very nice indeed. Again, that's not in any of the kits, so that's just going to get glued down to your floor and represent that. Now I say it's not in any of the kits, it is in the hachette, so there we go. Those that knock the hachette and say it's like a toy, currently out of all the 32nd scale Lancasters out there, it's the only one with this. So there we go. So that's that. Right. And then we're going to glue that into place. So that's us finished with our floor. Now, when it comes up to the inner side of the, this is the starboard side of the fuselage. Again, none of the kits include this, but you've got that arming handle that's going to go there, and that runs over a pulley that comes out of the side of the aircraft. Now, just to give you an idea what we're talking about, I'm going to refer to page 62, I think it is. Yes. See, I do some preparation. You can see there, this is the side of the cockpit, and you can see that pulley sticking out there. Okay, none of the kits have that. Border Model have completely missed it. I can't believe Wingnut Wings missed it. And you can see here there's the scratch where that cable sits and whips around and scratches the paint. So you can add that to your model and you can make a big difference. Now we actually have this part, so what it's telling you, put the part arming handle into position, no glue, and mark the position of the turn wheel from the arming handle on part G12 and make a rectangular cutout roughly the size of 4mm by 1.5mm. So we have that part here. Again, it's tiny, but we can see that it's going to go yeah, it's going to go that way round. So we've actually got, it's very hard to show you, you actually have the handle here sat on the shelf, you have the cable coming up, and the cable is going over the pulley, and we have the pulley coming out of the side here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a hole for that pulley to go through. It's going to make a hole here in the side for that pulley to go through, and then because we've got fantastic locations, because this is a wonderful kit, we're going to translate that into there, and we're going to have that pulley sitting there, and then we can put a cable over and put that down. How amazing is that going to look? So you're going to have your cable there just like it is on the real thing. So stunning, absolutely stunning. Really looking forward to I want to use this stuff, I really do. So that's that. And then here on the, this is the nose floor section. You've got this area here, and what they're telling you to do is remove this bit before you glue the part G4 to G3 and G8. So they're telling you to remove this panel here, so you're going to cut that out. Okay, so you've just got like a square hole there, because that is basically where the, on the standard Lancaster, that's where the camera sat. But they don't have the camera because obviously the lamp is in the way. You've still got the frame there. Apparently they kept the frame to stop the bomb aimer kicking the light, and obviously the position of the light was critical. However, the oldest lamp will be glued into the opening in part F5. Therefore, first finish the step nose assembly in the kit instructions, and then glue the forward Aldous lamp into position facing to the right. So the forward Aldous lamp is straight, it's perpendicular to the centre line of the aircraft, but facing over to the right. So that's going to go in there. So that's that. So there's another little modification to do. This border models plastic is wonderful to work with. It's really, really nice. Another thing I would suggest you do is remove this area here. That there is a pedestal for the bomb aimer's computer, and these aircraft wouldn't have had the bomb aimer's computer installed. They obviously did everything they could to save weight, so they that would have been gone. Okay, so you can take that off and you can fill that hole in, put a piece of thin plastic card over the top, whatever, but it's just going to look like that side when it's done. All right. So part G2, which is the other side, is basically the opposite of this, and you're just going to add the pilot special supply, which is here. And I don't know what this is, as I said, I have to read about it, but it's this tiny little rectangular panel, and it's got detail on it. It is beautiful. Let me just look through a magnifier. Yes, it's got something written across the top, and it's got two knobs on it, so it's obviously some sort of Dambuster related thing. Maybe it's to turn the lights on and off, I don't know. But there's the pilot special supply, and that's going to go on the inside of there. So that's that. And then coming over here, we've got the cockpit floor, the pilot's pedestal. I haven't got that here, but you will know what that looks like. And you're going to fit that. Now, as I say, you've got the actual kit part here. And this is your manual release handle for your bomb. You've got the kit part there, which is part 82, A82, but you've also got this one here, and you can see there's quite a difference in the kit part and the Fischkopp part. So you can make your own mind up which one you want to use, looking at photographs or whatever. Trouble is, I can't find any photographs of the special equipment. Only, you know, the interior stuff. I can only find the CAD images, which are an artist's representation. We don't know how accurate they are. So we're going to install the rev counter on the underside of the wireless operator's table, as I showed you just now. And there is the rev counter there. We can see that. It's got the gauge on the front. It's a solid block, so you're going to put that up under the table. And then you can use Easy Line or whatever to the floor. That would simulate the link to the speed indicator, which is installed on top of the VSG bracket. Okay, so that's basically going to be sitting under the table here. So you just put something down into the floor so it looks like a pipe. And then we've got the fairing assemblies here. So we've got the forward fairings, which are here, and they're moulded in halves, or they're printed in halves. As you can see, we've got the hinges there across the top, which are beautiful. We've got the cutout there. We've got the fairing there, which goes over there to protect the pulley and the belt. And then in the bottom here, you can see we've got these very fine little raised blocks, and that is where the nuts and bolts go through that in my kit are missing. They've been smashed out of the box by the delivery service, but you can see they're beautifully done, and they've got all the internal structure as well. So if you want to display them open, you know, showing all the motor and everything, I would love to see, if anybody's got one, I would love to see a photograph of one of these being worked on with the doors open, because I would love to know if this part here was separate to this, so that they could open the doors without having to take the pulley off every time. But I would love to see that. But there we go. But they've also got the sort of stress skin effect to go along with the aircraft as well, which is nice. So it all sort of matches and it doesn't look too plain. I can't see any rivet detail on here. I don't think there is any. But I will be showing you something very, very shortly that I've been working with a company on, and you'll be very interested to see that. So that's your doors. At least we've got a decent part to hold here instead of a tiny little bit, but very, very nicely done. And also with these pins, they're actually working hinges, because you have here we have this is the hinge that's going to attach to the actual edge of the bomb bay. Okay, and then you've got these pins that go through. So they're just going to slide into there like so and go all the way through. You can see it fits in there beautifully. It's going to be very, very fragile. You may wish to put a piece of brass rod through there or something. I'm not sure what diameter they are. Let's just have a look, just so we know. Not to snap them off. 0.5. So there we go. Put a piece of 0.5 wire through there. It's going to be a lot stronger than using that. Having said that, when this all goes together, this will be like that. So everything's going to be in shear rather than trying to snap off. It's trying to actually pull it directly apart like a track pin rather than trying to snap like that. So it should actually be strong enough, especially if you're going to glue them in place. But so there we go. So that's our hinges and our hinge pins taken care of. And then we've got the upkeep assembly. Well, that's nice and basic. We've got this great big solid barrel, which as you can see is 3D printed. And then we've got the ends here. We've got one with and one without the fuse. So you can see we've got the ends there, beautifully done. And I know you can't see it on here, but these are all beautiful bolt heads and everything. Really, really nice and crisp. They're going to look amazing, painted up, dry brushed and everything. They look absolutely gorgeous. They're a big benefit over the plastic kit parts, because on the plastic kit parts you can see you've got all these mould seams in here, which are going to have to be all filled and everything, and then you've got the seam there, and the detail on the ends is quite nice on this. It is actually quite sharp, but I think they're probably nicer. So step 3, caliper assembly. So this is actually where you're going to assemble the hinges onto your calipers. So here's one of your calipers. This is the starboard side. You can see we've got the hole there for that hole goes right through, and that's where the stud's going to come through for the bomb release. And then on here we've got the bracket, you can see, which is supported, and that's going to be for that big spring thing we talked about. And then coming up to the hinges, telling you to fit the hinges with the pins. You get 4 of these. So you've got a hinge and 2 pins. So you're going to basically drop that in there. Okay, a little bit of sanding required. You're going to drop that in there and then put a pin in from each side. So you've got 2 pins with each hinge. And as you can see on there, we've got the beautiful printed on bolt heads. And these are what's going to attach to the fuselage here on those raised stiffening panels that we talked about earlier. So as I say, you get 4 of those. So that's all very nice. And you obviously get a pair of the calipers. There has been some debate discussed about, some people think these are round in section. They're certainly not round. I think they may have had a slightly larger radius than that's printed here, but that'd be easy to sand in there. But they're certainly a lot nicer than these. I don't like this at all. Really don't like this at all. I mean, when you actually look at that and then you look at the real thing, it just, I don't know. And they're also, you can see these are a lot bigger. Okay, and as I say, we'll go through some wartime photos, and I think these are the more accurate option than those. I don't like those at all. So we shall see. So going over the page again. So we've got the calipers there and we've got the pulley assemblies. So we've got all these pulley assemblies like here. Okay, that's the main drive pulley. But these are the actual mounts for the bombs, and you can see you've got the bits there. So you've got the actual pulley part itself, the mount. You've got the ring, the inner bearings and everything. So you've got the ring, the inner bearings and the mount itself. Okay, and then here you've got this disc, which is the this is the emergency fuse. This is the emergency fuse assembly, and you can see there's a hole in the edge of that, and that's where your cable's going to go. Remember, we said on this one it's going to have a cable coming down here, and that is going to sit there with the where the cable's going to go in. That's what they pull to arm the bomb. So that's those bits taken care of. And then going over the page, we have the stand for the hydraulic motor. That's here, beautifully done. Again, it's going to be fairly weak when it's done, so you have to be very careful with it. But you can see all the tubing and the pipework is in there. You cut it out of its frame, it's going to look stunning. Okay, and you're going to fit the speed indicator and the speed indicator pulley into that. So we've got our, there's our speed indicator and our speed indicator pulley. You can see how finely printed they are. Absolutely stunning. Really, really nice. So there we go, that's that done. And then we've got the motor itself going on. We can see here we've got another pulley on there, and then you can use some easel or whatever to connect that pulley up with that pulley there through the holes in the base. So that's going to be a nice bit of detail. As I said, it'd be good to have those doors open to show this off. Chris was telling me last night, apparently they were instructed to have the doors open when they were loading the bomb, so not really sure why, but anyway. So that's that. And then here we've got, this is the transverse frame. This is what I talked about earlier, and you can see on here, this is where the, oh, that cotton wool on there, this is where the actual center is here. So that's where you're going to put the claws, which release the bomb. They're going to go over there. And then in this bracket here, you're going to have to drill a couple of holes to put in those bits I'm going to show you in a minute. But that actually fits up into the bomb bay roof, and that is what's actually, the bomb is hanging off the calipers, but this is the actual release mechanism, if you like. So very, very nice indeed. And you can see here they're mentioning the hydraulic system, and just look at that. How gorgeous is that? That's all the hydraulic pipework and everything that's all visible when those doors are open, and that's going to sit between the back of the panels and the actual hydraulic motor itself. So that is gorgeous. Very, very nice indeed to have that in your bomb bay. And then we're going to attach these the actual doors to the sides of the fuselage using those hinges. And then we've got the, if you want to have the bolts shut, you've got the bolt nuts and bolts, which in my set are currently missing, which she's going to send me. Here we have page 10. So this is that transverse frame, and you can see here I'm talking about those two little clamps, and there they are. They are tiny. There's those two little clamps there, you can see. Okay, you're going to glue those either side onto that square lump there, and that will be your bomb dropping mechanism done. And you've got this Y bolt that's going to go in, which is here. Okay, you can see there's your Y bolt, that's that part there, and the cables come out of there and they come down and release the bomb. More about that in a second. We've got the aft Aldis lamp here, which is on its frame, so we can see that's the aft one. It's got its frame and everything. Hang on, is that the aft one? Yes, that's the aft one. So if you do want to put this, your aft lamp, in that emergency exit, then that's where it's going to go. But some people think it's in the actual bomb bay fairing, and some people think it's in here. Airfix have got it here on their 72nd scale, which I believe is no good because the bomb would be kind of sat here, so it would be in the way of the beam that's got to shine forward. So it seems a bit daft, but that's the actual panel there. That's the rear fairing. Okay, so that's very nice. And then there's the piece that goes over the back. So that is going to fit onto the back of your bomb bay, and that is going to sit in the bomb bay. Now, have you noticed on here we have this chamfered area here, which is leading up to this flat part. The kit part has lengthwise, it's whoopsie daisy, careful Nige, that was close. The kit part is like that, as you can see, and it has a vertical face. Now, I was talking to Chris about this last night, and I convinced myself in a couple of pictures that this is correct. However, having said that, why would you do that? Aerodynamically, why would you put a directly up, vertical face? You'd do that, wouldn't you? You'd have a fairing. And then Chris pointed me to some pictures, and I'm leaning towards that one now. Why would you do that underneath an aircraft when you could have a fairing? It just seems crazy that nobody would do that, surely. But so there's that fairing there, which is nice. This is the actual kit part. This is you get in the set, and that will replace this part here. But as I say, this is the piece you want. This is what is accurate, not that one. And then going over the page, you're going to fit the drive pulley and the end cap on there. So you've got the drive pulley. That's the drive pulley for the actual upkeep bomb. And then you've got the end plate going on there. As I say, if you're going to do that, you're going to have the door shut. But that's going to basically sit. That's going to basically sit in there, sort of thing. So there we are. So that's that. And then here we've got all this, the springs and everything. Now I've got these in the bag because these are some parts that got broken before. You can see they're very, very fragile. But basically, you can see in that bag we've got the. In fact, what I'll do is I'll get one out for you. You can see we've got the. In here they're telling us to put that piece in and then put that pin down through. So we've got that piece there. And we've got that pin there, and that is going to go into there, and the pin going through, so you can see that little bracket there. And then just like a car shock absorber, you've got the other side there, which is going to go into there, and then that pin is going to go into that pin is going to go into a hole you've drilled in there, as I showed you in the book just now. So put that back in there to prevent any damage. Obviously, damage is one of the biggest risks with this, especially with it coming from Germany, because you know, it damages the biggest problem. And then here he has thoughtfully given us cable. So we've got some nice stiff wire cable there, which is going to go onto those bits. And you've got those bolts, you can see them here. Those bolts there, they've got the nut on the end. So they're actually going to go through these holes here, stick out the end, and you can set them to the length by cutting the length of this cable. And that cable is going to basically glue into the end of there. There is a dimple there, but you may want to drill it out a bit further. But there you go. That's just going to go in there. So that's a really accurate mechanism for dropping your upkeep bomb. Very, very nice indeed. And as I say, going over the page, you've got this. Now, you can see here that we've got the front edge of that forward hinge is pretty much in line with the wireless operator's window there, and then on the back, what they're doing, they tell you the reference is the rear spar there on the wing. So you can see that is actually sort of, you know, nearly halfway along that window there behind the wing. Okay, so if we look at some wartime images, I've come too far forward. 51, I think it was. If we look at some wartime images, we can see that the rear end of that, if you draw a vertical line, is about halfway along that window. Okay? And also you can see that it's actually right up in the root of the wing. It's right up under there. So the way Border Model are telling you to do it is incorrect. So that is right up under there. And you can also see, as I say, people say these are round. They're actually not round. You can see they're like a rectangular shape, but they may have a larger radius than is depicted here. Not too sure. And you can certainly see here, they're definitely not circular. The other thing I don't like is the on the end here, you can see it's sort of coming into this flat area and it sort of all blends in. And on the wing that wings one, or this border one, it sort of all comes in. It looks a little bit chunky. I much prefer the way this one is done. Okay, so you may want to do some remodeling on that or whatever, but I think overall, you know, I think they're probably both have got inaccuracies, but I think I seriously believe this one is better than that one. But you know, you pays your money, takes your choice. The other thing I noticed, if you look at here, there may have even been different ones, because if you look here, the bottom of that one is definitely rounded off. Whereas if you go back to AJT, that looks pretty square to me on the bottom of there. That looks pretty squared off. So, don't know. And you can also see, if you draw a line from there up to where that bracket's going to be on that strengthening panel, you can see it's pretty much below the back edge of that window, just like this one is here. So, you know, when you look at these, look at the length of these compared to the length of those, it's a massive, massive difference. And these, scale-wise, they pan out. They look a lot better than them, in my opinion. You know, opinions may vary, as our lovely Queen said. But there we go. So, is there anything here I haven't shown you? Yes. There's the pulley. That's the pulley, the belt. Okay, so that is actually going to go around your drive pulley and drive your bomb. So that's easily removable. So that's very, very nice. And also, I haven't shown you, this is the beautiful little bomb aiming device, which is very, very nice indeed. So you could have that, just for effect, you could have that sat in there on the chest rest for the bomb aimer. Looks good though, doesn't it? Put a couple of little pins on there. I think that pin has probably got snapped off. But, this is the problem with 3D printing, and in my opinion, it's its biggest downfall is it's capable of producing some very, very fine detail, but it is so easily damaged. It's, you know, it's just like any resin. It's very, very it's not as brittle as cast resin, I think, but it's very easily damaged. That's the problem. And then we've got our two Aldous lamps, which I know I've already shown you one of them, but here's the forward one, and you can see that's got the brackets on it. That's got the brackets on it to go up inside the fuselage, and that's going to hang out of the nose. And it does hang a long way out of the nose. Here you go. You can see it there. See it there hanging out of the nose. I'm sure it's going to be visible in other photographs too. You can see it there hanging out of the nose. So yeah, this book, by the way, is the Wing Leader Photo Archive number 18. Absolutely awesome if you want to build a special Lanc, if you've got the Grand Slam or whatever. There's some fantastic images in here that are really going to help you to build. It's only £20. It's dirt cheap for what it is. So there we go. Now the one last thing I want to do is give you some good news. So Chris has also cast a Guy Gibson and a dog figure. Okay, so there's Guy Gibson, 3D printed, lovely figure. You can have him stood in front of your Lancaster. He also does this one in a 200mm, so like an 8-inch tall figure, it'd be lovely. And then here's the little dog sat there, little Labrador that he loves so very, very much. So that's beautiful. So basically, at the moment, he's going to do a special off. If, as I say, if you look at the description down below this video, you will see there's a link in there, and it will take you to a Google Drive where you can go and look at all the products available. It gives you all the prices, and you can go look at the instructions. You will also see in there is an engine set for the Qatari Spitfire. I've got that here. I'm going to be reviewing it very, very soon. So very great thanks to Chris for sending me that. I'm going to be reviewing that very soon. If you think there's flimsy parts in here, wait till you see that. That's unbelievably flimsy. So yeah, what he's doing at the moment is a special where you can get the set with these two figures at a heavily discounted price. So that's really worth looking at. And also what he has suggested, which I think is a great idea, is going to be a one-off. So the first person that orders this from Fischkopp on Facebook or whatever, you send them, what you do is you get in touch with them on Facebook Messenger. Straight away you'll get a reply back, which is a form, and you can put in there what you want, your details and everything, and your address and phone number and blah 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 blah, and then go from there. But the first person that physically orders this set that says my name, Nigel's Modelling Bench, in their order will get a further 15% discount. So that's well worth having, guys. So if you've got the ordinary border model Lancaster, or even if you've got the Dambuster and you want to sort of change things about a little bit, then this is well worth getting. There's one thing I've just thought of that I forgot to mention as well, which again, just like the rear lamp, is a bone of contention. Border model, wingnut wings, whatever, have this panel closed off. Okay, there it is there. Fischkopp have that panel open. Okay. Personally, I believe that panel would have been open, because if they closed it off, that would give you one hell of a lot of drag. The air would come around and pull, especially with that thing there as well. It just all doesn't make sense to me. I could well be wrong. It has been known, but I believe it would have been left open. Whatever, pays your money, takes your choice. So anyway, as I say, in the description below this video you will see the contact where you can get in touch with him. And if you want to order this, as I say, it's a one-off. You get 15% off off the set if you mention my name, Nigel's Modelling Bench. One off. So if you don't get it, you know you've missed out because you weren't the first one. Also, as I said, I think he's going to do 10 sets, which includes the 2 figures at a vastly reduced price. You're saving a lot of money on those figures. So anyway, go and have a look. Any questions, pop them down in the comments below. And all I can tell you is Chris has sent me a couple of bits and pieces now. His communication, his backup is second to none. It's absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly recommend this stuff. It really is nice. As I say, the only downside to it is it's 3D printed, which means, you know, fragile, delicate, but very, very highly detailed parts. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.